Bullet journaling is a wonderful way to customize your own life schedule. There are so many styles, elements, and supplies. And honestly, at first it can be pretty overwhelming. So let's go over the basics together. The main things I will cover are notebooks, supplies, styles, and finally personalization. So first things first, in order to delve into the art of bullet journaling, you need paper to do it on, obviously. We'll use notebooks, but some use loose leaf too, and that they can put in a binder and whatnot, and it's entirely up to you. But for paper, there are 3 different types that are mainly used. Either dotted paper, which is, in my opinion, the most popular one. There's lined paper, and of course, graph paper. And of course, there's also blank paper, but at that point, just use a sketchbook. There are pros and cons to each type, and of course, everything is a matter of personal opinion. But I will list my personal pros and cons for each. So for dotted paper, which is the first one, is my personal ideal paper. This is the one that I use all the time, and I think it is, in my opinion, the perfect paper to do bullet journaling with. It is simple, it's not too busy, you're able to use the grid spacing, but are still able to also make curves like circles and whatnot without it looking out of place. And honestly, for cons, I personally cannot think of any, but if you do, feel free to comment down below. I would love to know your opinion. Next is lined paper. So it's great because there's obvious straight lines and it's easy to follow horizontally, but you do need to calculate the grid stuff a bit more since there are no vertical lines that are included. And sometimes in lined notebooks, the lines are significantly more opaque than the dotted or graph notebooks. But again, it's a personal preference. Next is graph paper. So a pro is that the grid spacing guide is definitely set in stone, and it can also easily be followed for angular shapes and whatnot. But cons, sometimes because there are so many lines, I feel it can get a bit distracting and a bit too busy in the background. But again, personal preference. I also personally have a hard time finding like cute graph notebooks, like apart from the classic school ones for math classes and whatnot. Personally, that's not really my aesthetic. But again, whatever paper you choose is entirely up to you and what you think fits you best. Next up is supplies. Now, this is definitely the hard part in my opinion, especially because there are so many strongly opinionated people out there when it comes to legit journaling supplies. So let me make one thing clear. Anything can be used for bullet journaling. No fancy supplies or brands are required. If you have them, great. If you don't, great. I'm going to show you a handful of my own supplies, my own supply collection, and many other alternatives to cheaper versions and whatnot. So first things first, that I think is the most essential thing for bullet journaling is having a black liner. So of course the classic fancy one is the Pigment Sakura microns that come in many different shapes and sizes and everything you want. But honestly, I started my bullet journaling journey with this thin tipped Sharpie and it works amazingly. Another great option is the Sarasa Zebra option, which I don't even know if I'm saying right, but this is the one that I use every day in order to write in my journal, and I think it works amazingly and it doesn't do any ghosting and whatnot, and it also comes in all these fun colors, so that's always a plus. So if ever you want to use a different color, you can do that too. And another great option is the Papermate Flare M felt tip pens. I absolutely love these. They write really smoothly, and it's not a ballpoint pen, but again, it comes in different colors and it's a felt tip pen, and I think this one works amazingly too. It's also a great option. And of course you can just use a classic black pen too. Like, there are no requirements. You can use whatever you want, whatever you have, anything works. So a classic Bic pen works, or just a regular pen that you have lying around. Anything black I think is essential for just basic line art, and that works too. Next, I think is another classic one are the Sakura Jelly Rolls. And these are basically just white gel pens, and you just get to add like these little white details in your spreads, which again, if that's not really your style, then that's fine too. But I personally love adding little white details whenever I do big art projects or anything like that. So I think that is amazing. And another option for details, of course, is again the Sarasa Zebra felt tip pens, or the Papermate Flare M pens. Those are great too. Or again, there's the classic Mad Liners, which are a little bit on the expensive side. So the knockoff is called the Milk Liner, and it again has both edges, which is the highlighter type of end, and then the bold kind of Crayola type of end. So Milk Liner is the cheaper option. The ink isn't as good quality as the Mad Liner, obviously, but both work amazingly for details regardless. So I think all of these options are great options for, you know, detailing, or just adding those little, you know, bedazzles that you need in the corner of your pages to add a little bit of interest. Next, for bigger detailings is something that these are my ride or die, the Crayola Super Tips. Again, super cheap. Like, Crayola is really cheap, but they have great stuff for bullet journaling. A lot of people use these to do calligraphy as well because it's easier to get line variations with like the thicker and thinner parts, which is amazing for people who are starting off with calligraphy because it's a cheap thing that you can use to practice. And of course, there are colored pencils that you can use to add detailing. I don't really like colored pencils much just because, you know, it hurts my wrist and I can't seem to use them properly, but that works amazingly too for bigger colored areas if you prefer to use those as well. So again, Crayola is a great cheap option for starters or even professionals. Like, I've been doing this for 3 years. I do not consider myself a professional, but I love using Crayola products because they are cheap and they work for what I do. Now into the miscellaneous. These are amazing. Don't get the one that I got because it's technically a refill, but this is a dot grid roller, and basically you just use it kind of like a whiteout type of roller thingy, but it puts glue instead, and it works amazingly for spreads. And of course, a ruler is always needed. It's always useful. Next, you know, you can use different types of rulers. You can use the triangle ones, or you can even use a protractor in order to get those perfect circles if you're that type of person. And another thing that I really recommend are stencils. No, stencils are not cheating. No, they're totally, they're so worth it. Like, honestly, like, you already have your squares made for you. You already have those little details that you can just put on, and they're always gonna look the same because you're using the same stencil over and over again. So it just creates consistency, and there are so many options. I will try to find this link on Amazon that I had bought a really long time ago, but I'll try to leave it down in the description down below if you're interested. I'll be listing most of these supplies down in the description down below from Amazon or whatever else I can find, so that you guys can go and get it for yourselves if you're interested, or get something along those lines. So yeah, I definitely recommend stencils. Use what you have. Like, these are great for multiple reasons, and I definitely recommend them. Next is another good classic, which is washi tape. Washi tape can be used in so many different ways, and there's so many different styles and, you know, types. And like here you can have like little sets that match and they look super cute, and then you can have others that have titles on them, so that instead of drawing or writing the titles, you can just use washi tape instead, which is super useful for people who are more on the less effort side, which I definitely am sometimes. So do not feel bad for using the resources that you have and that are available to you, because honestly, those type of things just make your life so much easier. So why not use it? Like, honestly. And honestly, just adding, like, if you have like a washi tape theme, just adding a little bit of washi tape on a page just makes it way more interesting to look at, or, you know, just decorates whatever you need. So honestly, it's a great way to easily decorate your spread and add a little bit of, you know, pizzazz, as I like to say. So yeah, there are many different styles. There are some that are thinner, thicker, some with a lot of writing, some with no writing, some with landscapes, others with just solid colors. There are so many options out there, so go ahead and use them. Next, of course, is a classic thing that every child was obsessed with, well, at least I was, stickers. Stickers are so useful. You can use them in so many different ways, and like the set I have here, they have like a bunch of small repeating ones that you can use for your trackers if you wanted to, or just to make really consistent spreads as well. And I just think they are super cute, and again, add that little bit of pizzazz that you need, or life or character that you need to your spread as well. And I think those are super useful. And then of course there are stamps that you can use. Stamps are again super useful as well. They are so easy and so fun to use. And no, stamps are not cheating. I don't care what other people say. Stamps are not cheating. And I think that they're really fun because they add like a little bit of like that rustic look to your spread as well, if that's what you're going for. Like this set that I have kind of has like a, you know, drawn typewriter font type of style. And again, I just think that they're really, really fun and just add this vibe to a spread that you might want. And I think they're great. Next up, styles. This can also be tricky for many because a style naturally fluctuates a lot, you know? So whether it be fashion, drawing, or even bullet journaling. But honestly, like, don't panic. I have squished everything down into 3 main categories, which are minimalistic, themed, and extra. Now, all of these can be mixed with one another in a way, obviously. I just wanted to simplify it as much as possible for basic purposes. So what I'm showing you now is me making an example of a minimalistic spread with lined paper. The minimalistic style is exactly as it sounds. Minimal, simple, and to the point. I believe it is one that requires the lowest effort since no heavy doodles or extra pieces are needed. I asked around on Instagram and got the permission of many, many wonderful artists to showcase their work. So here are a few that I consider that fit in this type of category of simple and minimalistic. I think that they are so amazing and just fit the vibe perfectly, and I think these are amazing examples for the point that I'm trying to get across. I will leave their Instagrams linked down below, so please, please, please go and check them out and support them and tell them how amazing they are. But yeah, overall, the minimalistic style requires barely any supplies, and I think it is a wonderful way to bullet journal. So keep it very simple. You can just use a black liner with maybe like one color if you wish, or just one character if you want to do something like with a bit more doodles. But again, super simple, modern is the way to go. Next up is the themed style. Now, if ever you've watched any of my videos before, or of course the wonderful Amanda Rachel Lee, you'll know exactly what this style is. It's exactly what it's named, basically. The spreads have a common theme. So basically how I do it is that I have a selected theme for every month. I make sure to have a reoccurring element and or color scheme for the month. So this style kind of allows more creative unleash and playing around with more doodles and colors and whatever elements of your choosing. I think this style is very, very fun because you get to choose a lot of it and you get to be motivated for a certain theme that you've been wanting to do, or I think it definitely allows like more creative outlets and whatnot. And to me, as a creative person, that's very, very important to me since I don't have a lot of time to do big creative projects. So I think that having a themed bullet journal has really helped me with that as well. And you know, just that little bit of color just makes my life better every day. So here are some more other examples from the more amazing artists that I have mentioned earlier. These are different ones that I think kind of fit this category as well, and I think are perfect examples. The last style is the only word I could really think of to describe it: extra. Extra in a good way, obviously. I feel like this one is one step up from the previous style I covered. I decided to show you these amazing spreads done by other artists because I cannot seem to do this style justice. Another comparison to describe this style would be art journaling. Overall, a lot more effort and details and supplies go into this style. I really admire the artists who do this type of style so much. It's incredible. So many things from paint, paper, markers, sometimes even wax or dried flowers get incorporated into the spreads. And I believe this style to be the highest effort out of the 3. And personally, it's my favorite just because it reminds me so much of art journaling, and I'm really trying to get into that and get better at it. And honestly, it's so inspiring to me to see those type of spreads, and I hope to make a journal theme that's like that one day. Big thank you to the artists who allowed me to showcase their work. I thought they were all wonderful examples and exactly what I wanted to show. So I hope those examples were able to help you guys as well kind of understand the concept of the 3 styles that I was talking about. Again, many of these styles can be mixed, like extra minimalistic, so like this spread right here, or themed extra, like this theme right here, and even themed minimalistic. Bullet journaling doesn't have a set of rules, so do what you want. And finally, the last step is personalization. And by that I mean your bujo, your choice. You get to decide all the elements of design. Your bujo is there to help you keep your life organized, so do what is best for you. For example, different trackers, if you choose to have any at all, of course. So like tracking your sleep, your moods, your habit, even water intake, business stuff like YouTube, memories that you want to keep track of, or even expenses. You know, there's so many types of trackers out there that you can do, personalized to your life. There are so many options and all are custom to you. You can choose to only have either a monthly spread or do weeklies like I do, and some even do daily spreads because they have so much to do in one day. It's anything you want and anything you need, and it's completely up to you. Bullet journaling is a tool, not a nuisance, so keep a good balance for what you can manage. If bullet journaling is not at all for you, then that's okay too. So to wrap this all off, here are my main tips for starters. I recommend that you start simple. Get in the habit of using this tool every day and see what works and see what doesn't. If you're doing a themed-based bujo, I say keep your things really broad because it allows you to explore many different aspects instead of restricting yourself to one element. So example, if you have a theme that is based off of tea, instead of doing tea, I would say do warm beverages because then you can do many other things as well. Huge help to me has been having sticky notes as extras for general weekly to-do list and messy brain organizing sections. So have some extra little sticky notes in your bullet journal for any extra elements that you want to write down, or you know, something that will last the entire week and you just need that small reminder. Sticky notes are the way to go. Finally, use any supplies you have in order to make your life simpler. No, stencils are not cheating. Same thing with washi tape and stamps. They exist for a reason, so use them. I hope this video has been helpful and eye-opening and hopefully inspirational for any of you who have been wanting to start bullet journaling but didn't really know how. And of course, feel free to leave any questions or even tips in the comments. Let's all help each other out and answer questions if you see one, or ask another question. Like, we are all open to helping each other, and just let me know. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for making it all the way to the end, and I will see you guys again very soon. Bye guys!